In the second round of the French presidential elections on May 7th, Emmanuel Macron of the independent movement En Marche won 66% of the votes and comfortably defeated Marine Le Pen of the National Front, who scored only 33% of the votes. Macron will be sworn in as the new president on May 14th, and he will become the youngest French president ever at the age of 39. But before we get into the election itself, let us first clarify how elections in France work. So first, presidential elections in France are held every 5 years. Candidates who wish to run for the president will need to obtain 500 signatures from elected officials. Among these candidates, if none of them receives a 50% majority in the first round, which has been the case in every election in French electoral history, then the top 2 candidates will advance into the second round runoff against each other. And the candidate who receives more votes in the second round will then be elected as the new president of the French Republic.
In the first round of the French presidential election, which took place on April 23rd, Emmanuel Macron of the independent movement En Marche and Marine Le Pen of the National Front scored 23.8% and 21.4% of the votes respectively. Both of these candidates will advance into the second round, which will take place on May 7th. The Brexit referendum and the election of Donald Trump in the United States last year have fueled a strong wave of anti-establishment sentiments in the Western Hemisphere, with far-right populist leaders posing an existential threat to the European Union and globalization in general. Put aside the rise of right-wing populism, this election itself has become one of the most unpredictable ones in French history. Incumbent President François Hollande has become one of the first presidents to not seek a re-election. Benoit Hamon, his party's chosen candidate for the first ever open primaries, came to an unprecedented fifth behind far-left leader Jean-Luc Mélenchon. Meanwhile, the Republicans has also suffered a disastrous campaign since former Prime Minister François Fillon has allegedly used public money to pay his wife for administrative work that she does not seem to have done. With that came the first case in which candidates of both major parties on the left and right failed to advance into the second round.
Emmanuel Macron, a 39-year-old centrist who has been identified as socially left and economically right, has never held elected office before. As a former investment banker, Macron became a senior advisor to President François Hollande and was then appointed as economy minister in 2014. He resigned in 2016 and formed his own political movement called En Marche. Generally, Macron is pro-business. He wants to relax labor laws, cut corporate tax rate, reduce public spending, and reform the employment system. On immigration policies, Macron supports German Chancellor Angela Merkel's approach to the refugee crisis and wants France to accept its fair share of refugees. One of his proposed means to integrate those coming into the country include state-funded French courses. And in the wake of numerous terrorist attacks in France, Macron has proposed recruiting over 10,000 more police officers. While Macron is often referred to as the Angela Merkel of France, his opponent, Marine Le Pen, has been called the Donald Trump of France.
The 48-year-old far-right populist has indeed adopted rhetoric similar to those of Donald Trump and Nigel Farage, having succeeded her father Jean-Marie Le Pen as the leader of the FN. Marine Le Pen has attempted to detoxify and soften her party's image in order to appeal to the mainstream voters. She expelled Le Pen, the senior, from the party after he controversially stated in 2015 that the Nazi occupation of France was not particularly inhumane. Although the party's policies and manifesto have not changed much, the popularity of the National Front has grown steadily under her leadership, winning municipal and regional elections in recent years.
For the results of the second round runoff between Marine Le Pen and Emmanuel Macron, please watch our second part coverage of the French election.
If you liked our video, please hit like and share it for us.
And if you're on YouTube, please subscribe here or here.
Thank you!